for 338, rushing 303. This defense is just horrible. This is literally like Big 12 defense. It's ridiculous. 641 yards per game, like I said earlier. I think they're giving up like 50-something points per game in defense. 51, I'm pretty sure. Fact check me on that. But anyway, the Arkansas offense is going to have to get going because of how bad this defense is. Anytime that you have a defense that's giving up 338 passing yards and 303 rushing yards, the other team is just going to have to capitalize it. Najee Harris of Alabama ran all over this Ole Miss defense, something that Rakeem Boyd is going to have to do. I would expect Boyd to play. I'll get into that in my next segment, though, when I talk about the injuries. But regardless of Boyd or Smith, or if they both play, frankly, run a 1-2 punch with them, run it down Ole Miss because their rush defense is horrible. Now, Franks is going to have a pretty good game, in my opinion. I think that we're going to have Warren and Burke step up pretty big, assuming both of those guys play. But a couple guys to watch out for is defensive back Kedron Smith has 25 tackles with 1 pass deflected. Defensive back Jalen Jones has 22 tackles, and linebacker Momo Senego has 19 tackles and a sack for the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, Arkansas cannot catch a break with these injuries here. This is a pretty long list. I'll just give the facts to you and what I've been seeing from media and Twitter and things like that. Starting off, running back Rakeem Boyd has a lower leg injury. He was out last week, but he is practicing this week. Wide receiver Treylon Burks has a knee injury, and he could have played against Mississippi State if needed. I would expect him to be practicing. Tight end Hudson Henry got banged up against Mississippi State, so he did not play against Auburn. Right tackle Noah Gatlin got rolled on, and from Pittman saying, quote, he's going to be okay. Cornerback Monteric Brown has an upper body / concussion injury. Not sure which one's going on there. So I thought I'd list them both, but they are hoping he's playing. Same thing with cornerback Jared Jacobs, who has an undisclosed injury, but the rumor is it is an ankle or Achilles injury, and there's a big difference between the two of those because one of them he could possibly play, and then the other one he might be out for the year. Hoping the best for him. Safety Miles Slusher has an undisclosed injury. Linebacker Grant Morgan has an elbow injury. He was limited in last week's practice. Linebacker Bumper Bull has an undisclosed injury. It's believed to be a shoulder injury, though. He was limited in practice last week, just like Morgan. And then linebacker Doreen Garrett has an ankle / knee injury. No update on him. But linebacker Levi Draper had shoulder surgery, and he's out indefinitely. And prayers up to him. Hope everything went well with that surgery, as he was a key transfer from the University of Oklahoma, and whenever he comes back to the field, should make a big impact. Now, Coach Pittman said that teams are just much bigger than we are, and if it's going to be a big man's league, they're going to have to get into the weight room and get bigger and also recruit bigger guys. Ole Miss, though, is not that injured. Only injured guy is linebacker Jacquez Jones. He didn't play in Ole Miss's game against Alabama because of an upper body injury, starting guy right there, but Ole Miss is relatively healthy compared to the Razorbacks. Now, the Vegas and BPI have Arkansas at a different point. The BPI has the Razorbacks favored to win. Only game the Razorbacks have been favored to win this season. They have a 57.4% chance that the Razorbacks are going to win. Ole Miss with a 42.6% chance to win. Now, Vegas has the line at Ole Miss -3. I would expect the line to stay somewhere around there as it opened on Sunday there, and as a Tuesday night, it's still Ole Miss -3. Over-under, though, 77. I would definitely take the over here because of how bad Ole Miss's defense is and how good their offense is. I mean, anytime you have two contrasting things like that, it's just going to be a high-scoring game. Now, after this quick break, I will be back talking to you about the all-time history of this rival game. Arkansas leads this series 35-28-1. A couple games, though, have been forfeited as a result of Ole Miss vacated wins. So counting those vacated wins, Arkansas won 6 straight from 2010 to 2017. Arkansas on top of this rivalry series recently. Ole Miss, though, however, won both games the last 2 years against Chad Morris, both of those games being kind of close. But this is the 4th and 25 game from 2015, one of my favorite games as a Razorback. I thought I had to talk about that. The Henry heave backwards. That's just one of the best Razorback games of all time. And this is also the series that involves Houston Nutt as he left the Razorbacks for the Rebels. So there's a bit of a rivalry there. but Arkansas overall leading that series. I know I've been wrong on my predictions recently, but technically I'm 2-1 if the SEC officials knew what they were doing. But my predictions are the Hogs are going to come firing out. They're mad. We got screwed by the SEC. They're going to be mad. Boyd is going to play, I think, and he's going to run everywhere. I think he's going to have a 1-2 punch with Traylon Smith. I think we'll feed Boyd, probably get him like 20 carries, get Boyd like 50 yards, get Traylon like 10 carries. I think that's going to be a big point of the game. I think Franks is going to have a nice day as well. I think the overall offense is going to be pretty good for the Hogs. We're going to be seeing a lot of those play calls from Briles as we're playing a pretty bad defense. And the defense is actually going to start showing some issues for the Razorbacks. I definitely think that this defense is good. However, playing one of the best offenses we'll probably face all year. I think Matt Corral gets around 350 to 400 yards. I just think with the lack of depth and injuries to the Razorbacks defense, it's going to be hard to contain him. I think the run defense has to be better for the Razorbacks if they want to win this game. But I'm never going to doubt Barry Odom. But one guy I kind of will doubt is Scott Fountain in the special teams unit. I'm just going to send up a prayer the special teams improves this week because what we saw last week was ridiculous. But final score, 38-34. Hogs come out on top and beat the Ole Miss Rebels at home in front of a energized Fayetteville crowd. However, I will have a recap of that game out Monday morning as always. That's all for today's episode. Thank you for listening, and you can find Always and all social medias at allhogsports.com. And don't forget, as always, whoa pig!
That's all for today's episode of All Hog Sports with Sam Stimson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram at All Hog Sports Pod. Like on Facebook at All Hog Sports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!